You, me, and everyone we know was born on the Titanic. And as this hulking mass makes its way through the briny sea, we carry conflicting stories about our predicament. On one hand, we were raised to believe that we are on the best ship that has ever been constructed. There's never been a fancier, more well-designed vessel in human history. And in fact, we're told, it is unsinkable. So it makes perfect sense if you notice your fellow voyagers walk with a sense of pride up on the main deck, admiring the handiwork. I mean, look at how shiny this thing is. What an incredible marvel of human ingenuity. A crowning achievement of civilization. I mean, I don't see any primitive tribes making a ship like this. And then, on the other hand, you might walk down below deck and see there are masses of people living in very different conditions than the people up on the main deck. Even though we're all in the same boat, some people are having a better time than others. Then, you might hear rumors of an iceberg. For some, it's obvious. Look out at sea. It's literally right there. Some can see the collision has already begun. Some are below deck desperately trying to escape the rushing waters. Some can't afford to get away, shoveling coal into the furnace as water slowly rises to their waist. For others, this is an obvious hoax. This is the unsinkable ship after all. It's in the name. The captain, I'm sure, is on top of it. Well, at least the people around the captain. Like what? You think they'd send us out into the middle of the ocean on an unsinkable ship to let a little iceberg cause a problem? But it is becoming unavoidable to almost everyone on the ship to indeed see that the ship is taking on water, though not everyone is sure why. Should we be worried? Something's happening here. But at the same time, the band is still playing. And in fact, the band has never played louder and more enthusiastically than right now. Welcome to Human Nature Odyssey, a podcast exploring the wild ride our civilization is on and how we all might need to learn how to swim. I'm Alex Leff. This episode begins year 4 of Human Nature Odyssey. 3 years ago, I gathered my friends together for a podcast listening party and shared episode 1. I'd been working on it for a couple years before releasing, and if you've listened to those first few episodes, you'll know that, in a way, I was working towards Human Nature Odyssey for half my life. Since that first episode, I moved back from Los Angeles to the Northeast United States. I'm closer to family and quiet spots in nature and living with good friends and their kids. And once a month, my friends here gather together for a podcast potluck party to listen to the latest episode and discuss together after that, also to hang out and eat food. Oh, and a couple months ago, Kokoro led a mending circle beforehand and helped people stitch torn jeans or patch up holes. I sewed a button back on one of my favorite shirts. It is indeed a miracle of civilization to be able to share this podcast with people I'll never get to meet from all over the world. And it's always incredible to hear from you if you're finding it meaningful on your journey as well. And it's a miracle of life to get together with people in the real world. I've needed that. And often the conversations I have with my friends after the episode help inspire future episodes. So what I wanted to do for this month's podcast potluck party was do a sort of live taping. I presented them the ideas I wanted to share in this episode and turned the conversation that came from that into the episode you're going to hear today. Because I wanted you to be here too. Come and join us in the living room. There's still a few spots on the couch, and we have plenty of yoga mats and meditation pillows strewn across the wooden floor. I've dimmed the lights so we can watch the natural light fade from sunset. It's a room full of friends I've known since college or met when I moved back. My housemates are here, and their oldest son, Michi, is sitting next to me on the couch. You may recognize his voice from the beginning of episode 3 of Human Nature Odyssey. He was 6 during that recording. He's 10 now. So anyway, come get comfy. In this episode, you'll hear excerpts from the live recording and the storytelling that came from it, all trying to answer the question, what is Human Nature Odyssey? Thank you guys so much for participating in this experiment tonight. So this is a live podcast recording. It's designed to be paused, interrupted, derailed, I might regret saying that, and expanded upon by all of our ideas today. Human Nature Odyssey, as of this month, just turned 3 years old.
Woo! Are you recording?
I am. So today what I wanted to do is tell the story as I see it of what Human Nature Odyssey is, where we've gone on our Odyssey, the Odyssey thus far.
It's live, so there's a million people listening right now to everything.
Smash that one!
Guys! Titanic.
What?
Thanks, Michi.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're gonna try this out. Thank you for bearing with me. We live in an absolutely ridiculous time. And I think of it as like we were born on the Titanic. Same boat, different experiences, depending on where you are, the people you're interacting with, and the stories you carry about what we're experiencing. It's almost like we're living through completely different movies. The question is, what genre do you think you're in? If you're seeing the water bursting through the cabin doors and flooding the spiral staircase, you might be like, okay, this is an action disaster movie. But if you're picking out at the buffet, this might feel like a cheesy romantic comedy. We're all living through the same story, just viewed through the lens of these different genres. To someone working their 9-to-5 job, saving up for a new lawnmower, planning their trip to the Bahamas, they might think that people who are acting like this is a disaster film are crazy. But we're not just living through a disaster film or a rom-com. We're living through something much closer to Lord of the Rings. After all, we are alive during one of the most climactic moments in human history. Now, I know there's a certain humility we tend to have about this. Who, me? Little old me? Alive during one of the most climactic moments in human history? No, certainly not. People must always think that about the time they're living in. But guys, no, it's now. There's been disasters, calamities, and plagues for millennia, but nothing in human history quite on the scale of what's coming. We live in a highly advanced civilization that has never been more powerful in how it can shape the whole planet. Yet at the same time, our civilization has never been as fragile and vulnerable as right now. I'll even do you one better. It's not just one of the most climactic moments in human history, it is one of the most climactic moments in our planet's history. Our civilization is causing a rapidly accelerating extinction of biodiversity around the planet. We talked to Professor Gerda Keller in episode 2 about how 200 species are going extinct every day. Scientists call this extinction event the planet's 6th mass extinction. In life on Earth's 4 billion year history, it's happened only 5 times before this. The last one was 65 million years ago, and that's what wiped out the dinosaurs.
In some ways, we are set up for catastrophe, but we are not experiencing catastrophe right now. In not the scale of catastrophes that the world has seen in various instances.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's hard to place exactly where in the Titanic metaphor we are. It's happening differently in different places. We still are in this place where we see disaster looming. It's beginning to start feeling more and more around us. The party's just getting started.
Like that scene in Austin Powers where the guy's riding the thing that smushes concrete, and the guy's standing there going, ah! And the guy's going really slowly. He goes, ah! And, he goes and he doesn't move, and he gets smushed.
Wow, that's a beautiful power.
And we're just standing there.
Alex was just saying how you used to always quote Austin Powers.
Austin Powers is the best movie.
That's
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I think we're thinking of it though as like there's gonna be one thing that's gonna hit us, and then instead of like cycles of continually like we're gonna hit this tiny iceberg and then this small, like it'll just be an ever-changing, like, and we're locked into a certain amount of climate change.
Yes.
And like we can only really control our response to it, or we can lessen it, and then like try to build systems that make us more resilient to that. But it's not going to be like the end of the world in the way that like a meteor impacting is, where it's just like one boom and then the after.
Right. If only this was the Titanic and there was one iceberg.
Yes. Yeah. There's icebergs everywhere, happening to every different people, to all. It's just, the complexity is staggering.
Well, luckily we're melting them all, so there'll be less.
So then what I want to bring us is what does this mean for us? What does it mean to live in a Lord of the Rings genre? And I think that a key part of that...
Be scared.
Yeah, there's fear that goes into it. Frodo says to Gandalf, I wish this wasn't happening to me. And Gandalf says, like... something what?
So do all those who live in such times, and yet we don't have a choice. We have to respond.
Yeah. So I think it's about not seeing what's happening as a side quest.
It's the whole quest.
This is what the show is about. It can feel like a distraction. All these disasters and these calamities and this like existential thing that is looming can feel like, oh man, I was just like trying to do X, Y, or Z in my life. I was just trying to get my like salsa class off the ground, you know? I was just trying to like make the perfect salsa recipe in the kitchen.
Don't include that in here.
Include it.
We all have our own call to adventure. The looming iceberg is not a distraction from your life. It's an invitation to live the life we're called for. In the hero's journey, we're faced with the question of how we can use our unique skills and gifts to face this moment, to be alive in it. And how can we use this moment as a catalyst to do something unexpected and brave with our lives? We don't need to carry the weight of a mountain. We only need to be the seed that pushes through a crack in the concrete and makes a little space for life there. And even in the fantasy epic genre, there's still romance and there's still comedy. That's the good news. The stakes are incredibly high, but we're still going to be laughing and falling in love throughout it all. And in this hero's journey, there's not one protagonist. Our stories don't typically prepare us for this. There's usually a single chosen one who will save us all. But our real story is about many, many heroes who all have their own trails to travel. And since this journey is so beyond what any of us could possibly even fathom or seemingly do anything impactful about, the key thing is to find the fellowship. How do we find the other people in our lives that we can join with and experience this together? Our call to adventure is an invitation not only to live a meaningful life and respond to the iceberg in a way that feels worthy of the moment, but also to discover the many forms of community that can accompany us on that journey. So let's retrace our steps from the beginning of our Odyssey to now. The first couple episodes of Human Nature Odyssey are about my own call to adventure that began during the summer before high school, when I was assigned the book Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. Back then, reading a book for school was the last thing I wanted to do. But Ishmael planted seeds in my mind and Mr. Willman, my 9th grade English teacher who assigned Ishmael, helped those seeds grow. Ishmael is about a telepathic gorilla's conversations with the narrator about humanity's place in the world. It became my favorite book and shaped how I saw the world. When I was 14, I told myself that someday I'd make something about Ishmael. I didn't know what it would be. I just kept it as this sort of mountain on the horizon. And about double my life after first reading Ishmael, it felt like it was time to try and climb that mountain. That became year 1 of Human Nature Odyssey, the first 7 episodes, exploring the ideas in Ishmael and wrestling with those same questions I had when I was 14, when I was learning about climate change, mass extinction, and the destruction of a world I was just getting to know. I wanted to know why this was happening. Why were we doing this? I think for many people, the answer is, well, the problem is humans. And it's this kind of humble brag where we're insulting ourselves, but also boasting about it. Because, well, our brains are just so big. We're just too intelligent. Any intelligent species with a really big brain would cause the mass extinction of life on the planet. We're the dominant species. That's what happens. We can't help it. We're doomed to go around destroying the world. But Ishmael, the telepathic gorilla, argues that humans are not doomed and not the fundamental problem here. Then, what is the problem? There's so many different stories we tell to understand what we're experiencing. We use these terms like capitalism, Western civilization, the first world and the third world. These are academic terms, so we take them academically seriously. But at the end of the day, these are just different mythological ways of explaining what's going on. They're metaphors we're using to describe something too complex to describe with words. But that doesn't mean they're not real. It just means at the end of the day, they're all a story. Stories are always incomplete, but they can help us see something. The author of Ishmael, Daniel Quinn, had another idea for a story, another way of seeing our predicament. He divided societies into 2 categories, takers and leavers. His idea was that humanity is not destroying the world. One kind of society is. And there's a whole episode about this. Episode 4 of Human Nature Odyssey looks at the difference between takers and leavers. There's been different ways of describing this dichotomy throughout history with words like civilized and primitive, and episode 4 goes into how those words aren't just a little mean-spirited, they're also not very helpful descriptions. So Daniel Quinn proposed we use the terms takers and leavers instead. We can think of takers as our extractive, expansive, global civilization, and we can think of leavers kind of as indigenous cultures, but not quite. To be indigenous means 2 things. One, it means to be native to a place, and it also means a way of life that's in balance within a local ecology. This dual definition becomes confusing when someone who's considered indigenous grows up in a traditional rural village and then moves into the city and buys all their stuff on Amazon. Because does that mean they're not indigenous anymore? No, because being indigenous is an identity tied to heritage. And that's why I think it's helpful to have a term like leavers, which is about a culture's way of life. It's less focused on individual identity and more about, is a whole culture acting as takers or leavers? The main way Daniel Quinn describes the difference between these 2 types of cultures is that they're enacting 2 different stories. Takers are enacting the story that the world belongs to us. And we can see the evidence of that all the way from megadams and data centers down to our lawnmowers and pesticides. Leavers, on the other hand, are enacting the story that we belong to the world. And if you believe that story to be true, then you're going to act very differently. So it's not human nature that's flawed. It's this one boat we've built for ourselves. Taker civilization is destroying the world not because it's evil, but because it's acting as if the world belongs to us. And of course, the world doesn't seem to think so. It's always acting out. Never quite raining when we want it to. Little bugs are always eating our crops. Rivers flood our towns and roadsides. It's a constant struggle for us to maintain our rule. But in our search for control, we've made incredible advances in science and technology, in medicine, you name it. We've accrued a vast amount of knowledge about how the world works. The funny thing is, all that we're learning seems to disprove that the world belongs to us. We talk about this in episode 6. We always thought we were the center of the universe, but what has astronomy shown? Turns out, nope, we're a tiny blue dot revolving around the sun. Oops. We like to think we were created separately from the rest of life, like we were the icing on the cake, the pinnacle of all creation. But what do you know? Evolutionary biology has revealed we actually evolved just like all the other frickin' species in the world, and all life is actually our cousins. And the craziest thing of all we're learning? It's in the field of ecological sciences. I mean, guys, you're not gonna believe this, but human beings seem to be a completely interconnected part of this planet. Turns out we're part of the earth, like a finger is part of a hand. All of our learning is pointing to the fact that the world does not belong to us, like Taker mythology told us, but that we belong to the world. Taker civilization thinks it's on a quest, this linear journey of advancement and progress. But if the world is our home, then this quest we're on is actually an odyssey. And our destination, in the end, is to come home. And so, for me, what I see as the point of Human Nature Odyssey is trying to orienteer ourselves back home. And of course, at the end of any odyssey, we're gonna find that when we return, our home is drastically different than when we left. And we changed as well. In episode 5, we talked about the story of the Garden of Eden, when the first 2 people are banished from home and the rest is history. I don't know if you ever noticed, but the background image of Human Nature Odyssey is a Thomas Cole painting titled The Expulsion of the Garden of Eden. If you look closely, you can see a little Adam and Eve being cast out of the garden. The story tells us how Adam and Eve were kicked out, but the story about how they return has yet to be written. And in the story, the Garden of Eden is described as a physical place they're leaving. There's even gates and a fiery sword banishing them to the other side. But that's just a story. Adam and Eve never really left the Garden of Eden. They just thought they did. The garden is all around us. It's in the wild raspberries at the edge of the mowed field, in the red-tailed hawk soaring over the telephone poles, in the dandelion pushing through the crack in the concrete. It's in the wind on your face, the air in your lungs. In many ways, we're already home. The reality is, we already do belong to the world. Boom, we did it. Here we are, and it's happening. Our hero's journey is allowing ourselves to know that and to feel it, to start enacting that story in our lives and build a culture that believes it and acts accordingly.
What's this episode going to be about?
That's a great question. I mean, I think this is the answer is this.
But also, how long do you think your Odyssey is going to be?
How Odyssey is my going to be? Yeah, Because it's also like there's not really, there's not. I don't know if there's like an.
I got places to go. Can you finish your Odyssey already?
Well, I will say that. So, the first season of Human Nature Odyssey was Ishmael, 7 episodes. I had no idea what was going to be beyond that, and then I got an email from Rennie Quinn, the wife of Daniel Quinn, who wrote the book, and she had heard the podcast and she liked it. And we which was a very surreal moment in my Odyssey. And we talked on the phone, and I asked her, and she was telling me like all these stories about them writing the book. I convinced her gently but with encouragement to do her first ever interview. And so episode 8 is a conversation with her. And then I had this bizarre experience. I felt almost like depressed for a little bit after season 1. It felt like getting to the top of the mountain, and like all of a sudden I saw this whole landscape, and I was like, I don't know what to do next. I was talking to Dan about this earlier today. What have the episodes since Ishmael been? I see each of the episodes as different ways to understand potential navigation. The episodes that follow the Ishmael series explore the potential paths back home. Episode 9 followed the inspirational and cautionary tale of Christopher McCandless, the young man who burns his money, forsakes his family, and ventures into the wild. Is that how we come home? By trying to escape society and leave all this behind? Then there was the 3-part series called The King is Dead, Now What? On the 250-year history of the struggle for democracy and the left and right political spectrum, followed by episode 15, Are hunter-gatherers liberals or conservatives? In those episodes, we explore the question, will the left wing or the right wing get us back to the garden? And where do these lofty questions about civilization and odysseys meet with the political realities of our time? Then in episode 17, we asked if renewable clean energy will save us. Is our way back home lined with solar panels and wind turbines? Or cracking the code of nuclear fusion? And episode 19 was about our fixation on space colonization as the way to solve our problems. I realized these episodes were all about bursting bubbles of false escape routes. Because our way back home is not by escaping society, or to just think in terms of liberals and conservatives. It's not about just finding unlimited clean energy, and it's not about going to space. And then the last couple of episodes, episodes 21 and 22, with help from the post-apocalyptic sci-fi novel Earth Abides, we imagine what it could look like to come home again over the course of generations, how our great-grandchildren might one day live as if they belong to the world. And that is where our Odyssey has come to so far. We've climbed the mountain of Ishmael and looked out upon a whole range of potential paths lined with booby traps, and have begun our descent into a valley of other ways of being in the world. What comes next in Human Nature Odyssey? Well, that, my friends, is a story for another time.
Good luck editing
Can
this,
we, can we sing happy birthday to the
Human
3rd year
Nature
of the
Odyssey?
podcast?
Human
Yeah.
Nature Odyssey.
Wow. I mean,
3
we
years.
can, I guess.
You don't want to.
Well, I mean, what you
I'm
want
gonna do it, and if anyone wants to join in, be the
following.
trendsetter.
Oh.
We should improvise it and do a new birthday song.
Ooh.
Human Nature
Odyssey, Human Nature Odyssey. 3 years old, 3 years old. Happy birthday, many more. Happy birthday, Nature Odyssey. Happy birthday, Nature Odyssey. Happy birthday to you, Odyssey, and to many, many more.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, I hope you'll consider what's a way you might enact the story we belong to the world. What's one way you might answer your call to adventure and try and come home? New episodes of Human Nature Odyssey come out the first Thursday of every month. Thank you for being along for the ride. I also wanted to share an exciting evolution in the project. Over the past few years, Human Nature Odyssey has grown into something bigger than just a podcast. More and more, I've wanted a space for the broader journey around these episodes, additional writings, reflections, behind-the-scenes thoughts, bonus conversations, and the larger questions we're exploring together. So Human Nature Odyssey now has a home on Substack. If you'd like to dive deeper into the world of the show, that's now the main place to do it. In the coming weeks, I'll be sharing bonus episodes, including the live conversation that inspired this episode, so you can really be there in the room with us. And to everyone already supporting the show on Patreon, thank you. You're a big part of why HNO has been able to grow into what it is becoming. You can find a link to the Human Nature Odyssey Substack in our show notes. This episode was made in association with the Post Carbon Institute. You can learn more at resilience.org. And as always, our theme music is Celestial Soda Pop by Ray Lynch. You can find a link in our show notes. Talk with you soon.